Let's take a closer look at the Black Series 6-inch figure of Hunter from the animated series The Bad Batch.
Varykino, living the Star Wars life.
Hello there, and thanks for visiting the Varykino YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be unboxing the Black Series 6-inch figure of Hunter from the animated series The Bad Batch. The third and sadly final season of The Bad Batch is currently airing on Disney+, and so to celebrate this awesome show, I'm going through and finally unboxing my Bad Batch Black Series figures. I have been trying to collect up as many from this range as I can. Sadly, some didn't make it to New Zealand, so I'm having to sort of source them from around the place. So it's taking a little bit of time, but I'm very, very keen to fully complete this collection. So, of course, we are now up to Hunter. Now, I'm so excited to be opening up this one. Before I open up that packaging and take a closer look at the figure and his very many accessories here, let's take a closer look at the box itself. We have the classic Hasbro Black Series window box here with a side panel. For the Bad Batch, we have that dark red color as the accent stripe. Because Clone Force 99, it does have this dark red accent color on their dark gray armor. So I love that color choice there. We can see the Star Wars The Bad Batch text there on that stripe. And then in that dark red color, we have the character name Hunter. This is his original Clone Force 99. There are other versions which they have in brackets there after the name, but this is the original version. So moving on to that really cool side art, we have Hunter with his helmet on, and he has his vibro knife in hand. He uses this a lot in the show. It's kind of a signature weapon of his. So I think that that's really cool that they pictured him with his knife raised like that. And we can see he's just holding a blaster down here. We've got that sort of classic fade into the dark accent color here down the side, and then we just have in black, kind of hard to read text, Hunter down the bottom there. But overall, really cool art. I always love those side panels. They look so cool when you get them all puzzle pieced together on your shelf display. On the back, we have that same art repeated again with a little bit of a bio for Hunter, and that stripe shows that this is number 01 of the Bad Batch series. At the time of recording, there are 18 released Black Series figures from the Bad Batch line, and I'm doing my best to collect them all. Okay, so the bio for Hunter reads, "The Bad Batch, technically known as Clone Force 99, is the result of Kaminoan experiments to create a specialist unit of clone commandos. Hunter, their leader, is a strong and stoic soldier with extraordinarily keen senses that give him an edge when tracking down his targets." So there you go. A little bit of a character description. No real spoilers for the series there, which is always nice. We've got all that copyright text there at the bottom, and on the underside, a little bit of that side window previewing some of those accessories there, and that little peekaboo window there up the top. So pretty standard Black Series packaging. We've got a pretty good view of the figure, but it's definitely going to be time and exciting to open it up and take a closer look at this figure and all his accessories. So now I have the Hunter figure out of the packaging and all of his accessories. I'll go through all of these closer up in a moment, but we have a backpack, we have Hunter's helmet, we have a Republic Commando style blaster rifle. We have one of those small little classic clone blasters, and we have Hunter's iconic vibro knife. So we'll go through all of those a little bit closer up and see how they all fit on him. But let's take a closer look at the figure himself. So I really do enjoy the way that Clone Force 99 renders in figure form. There is so much detail, and I really love this mix of grays and weathering. We've got the dark red accents, we've got the little painted Clone Force 99 logo here, and then we've got the added detail for each character. So in the case of Hunter, we have his very distinctive sort of face marking tattoo here. We've got his little sort of red bandana sort of with the skull painted on it there. Very cool. And then we're going to have fun putting that backpack on and getting him all assembled with all of his accessories. So just going to see if I can sit him down a little bit so we can get his face closer up. So I think this is actually one of my more favorite ones in terms of the translation of the animated series style face into a plastic Hasbro version. In translating the animated style of the Bad Batch into a black series, Hasbro tends to kind of make them more realistic to fit in with the whole sort of theme of the black series line. So we don't get a direct sort of animated translation, we get sort of a realistic version. And there's something about Hunter that is definitely giving me Boba Fett, Jango Fett, sort of Temuera Morrison expressions here. I think it looks particularly like him. I think this is a really good likeness here, and we've got sort of fine eye detail, and we've got that really distinctive pattern there on his face, which I think looks really cool. And we've got that little red sort of bandana there with the tiny little skull. I'm hoping this shows up on camera because it's so tiny. This little white skull there, which of course is the sort of the logo of Clone Force 99. We can see that same skull pictured here on his shoulder armor. So that's fun. I like the fact that like they've even got his hair going over the top of the bandana. His hair and bandana are all sculpted as part of his head, and that's reasonably all well painted. Sorry, I'm trying to show him close up because I'm really just quite impressed with that face sculpt there. Might have to put a picture or two in there to sort of really show it. And we've got his black Clone Trooper neck seal here. We've got a little bit where it hasn't quite been painted. I can sort of see a bit of a flesh tone on that top rung of his neck seal, so that possibly the black paint could have come up just a little bit higher, but honestly when I get him all posed or when I put the helmet on, that's not going to be visible. So moving down the rest of the figure, we've got the sort of light grey, darker grey, accented with the red markings for his armor, and we've even got a little bit of silver weathering on the chest. I can see it at the top of this thigh plate, towards the knee over here, and we've got, I think that's it for the silver weathering. We don't have any silver weathering on the back, just at those sort of high points there. But one thing that I've noticed with some of the other Bad Batch figures is just the amount of weathering that is in the sculpt itself. So hopefully the light will pick it up. You can kind of see all these sort of like, they look like scratches, like perhaps, you know, your kids have been playing with your toys, and it's just in the sculpt. So there's all this kind of really interesting like score lines and pitting on the armor, which gives them that awesome sort of battle damaged look. You can really see it on the back of the shoulder piece here. Hopefully that's really showing up. And here we can see some battle damage here, just on that red and black lines there. Some really cool details. And of course we've got that little 99 painted there on each of the shoulders. Very cool. This one is painted. It's not raised. On Crosshair, the 99 is actually raised on his shoulder sculpt. On Hunter, it is flat. So that's interesting. And these are sort of rubbery, so they can flex with his arms. So we'll have a look at that articulation shortly. So one thing that I've noticed on some of the others, because I think they have reused the sculpt of the gauntlet, is on the back of some of the other figures, there's like a peg hole with nothing to really attach it. And that is because I get the feeling they sculpted them all with a peg hole so that they could attach Hunter's vibro knife sheath here. So we can see there's like a little hole there, so we can insert that accessory prop into it. There's a little bit of give on it, but in case it is not supposed to be removable, I'm not going to try and pull it off because it might be glued in there and I don't want to wreck my figure. And besides, I don't want to take it off. I wouldn't pose him without this on because I want to have his knife with him when I put him on display. So I'm not going to try and see if I can pull that one off. So his bits and pieces remind me very much of the sort of lower armor on some of the other Bad Batch figures. We've got like a lot of sort of battle damage sculpting around the front of his shin armor here, which is really fun. And we've got these red stripes. You can even feel that texture in places. And not as much, I'm not really seeing much in the way of sort of battle damage or any kind of weathering or different paint on his boots here. We can just see that sort of classic Clone Trooper ankle strap there over the top of the boots. So just such a fun mix of colors and textures here. Really makes it look like he's seen a lot of action. So I'm going to take a closer look at some of the articulation here. Because we've got these rubber shoulder parts, I'm hoping that we were able to get his arms all the way up. And they click into place nicely, so we get all the way up there. A little bit stiff. There we go, clicking back into place. And we've got sort of a little bit of an interesting sort of overlap here with the sculpting for his elbows. So we can see that that sort of little black piece there hides the back of his elbows. It's forming part of his Clone Trooper undersuit. I can click. Oh, that one's really stiff. Okay, so I got that one into place. And his hands can rotate. There's a little bit of sort of upward posability there, but it does kind of end up hitting on his gauntlets. So a little bit there, doesn't really go back. And we've got a little bit of side to side on this one. It's actually across, so I'm getting side to side with his hands here rather than forwards and backwards across the back of his hand. So that's kind of interesting. And we've also got some rotation there as well. So like the other figures, we've got that sort of upper torso, and he actually holds fairly well. I can kind of click him to the side and he holds. He doesn't kind of spring back to center like some of them do. We can lean him back and lean him forward. I like, this is the kind of level of sort of, shall we say, stickiness that I like in this sort of torso. I can move him, but he does actually hold that position. He doesn't kind of want to spring back to his neutral position. So I like that. We've got a fair amount of movement there. So no movement through the waist. That's all sculpted together. So he doesn't rotate here. He's doing it sort of through there. See, absolutely nothing there. So we're going to move down to his legs. Now, if he is like the other ones, yep. The upper thigh sort of split, so you can rotate the legs outwards, is hidden just below where that thigh armor comes. So you practically don't see it, which is fantastic. I like that. We've got that movement there without it compromising the sculpt of this thigh armor. So because the Clone Trooper armor is quite tight, it points up. We're only going to get to about there before it hits. So if we rotate just a little bit outwards, we can go all the way up. So we can sort of rotate that to the side and get that full leg lift. If you want to pose them kicking up like that. Good Clone Trooper knee plate, which is going to hide the joins, which I always really like. And I like the fact that basically the stripes on that Clone Trooper undersuit does a really good job of hiding the hinge there, which is good, because from the back you almost don't see any articulation on the legs, which is really quite cool. Same from the front, you barely see it, which just really helps just translate the figure into just a really good sort of look-alike from the show. Fairly clicky ankles on this one. I'm hoping that they're gonna, I'm always looking at the ankles because they can really make or break how well these figures are going to stand up on your display. So I'm hoping I can get some really steady poses with him. So, but all of the sort of articulation I was expecting, nothing sort of too impactful in the way that I can move him. A lot of his articulation reminds me of the Crosshair figure that I also recently unboxed. So very happy there. No major sort of botch ups with the paint that I can really, it's not really standing out to me that there's any kind of major mistakes here. I like the face. I like the detail, the weathering. Really cool. So now I am super excited to try and assemble some of these accessories on him. So I'm going to start with the backpack. So this is kind of part of the Republic Commando sort of style of backpacks, because the Clone Force 99 gear is kind of based off the Republic Commando. So it's all pretty much sculpted in that grey plastic with some weathering as part of the sculpt. We can see it in some of those high points. And we've got a little bit of a red striping to tie it in there. We've got stripe, and a little red box here. So there we go. We've got a nice sort of T-shaped peg, so we know which way around it's going to go. And we've got that peg hole in the back. And let's see, snug fit, but that goes on nicely, and I can't really see any light between them. So it feels like a really nice snug fit, but of course you can just pull it off because it doesn't click into place. It just sort of squeezes into that peg hole. Of course, putting a big plastic box on his back means we've got to adjust his center of balance. He is going to want to sort of tip around a little bit. Very nice. He definitely looks a little bit more complete with that on his back. So I'm just going to take a moment to take a closer look at his helmet, because once I get these on, I often struggle to take them off because they really do fit over the faces. A lot of the Bad Batch have hair, and then they have to put helmets on over top, so it's a little bit of a tight fit. This one is semi-squishy, not the softest one I've come across, but it also holds its shape relatively well without it being actually on the figure with the head inside. And he has one of the most interestingly painted helmets, I think, of the whole Bad Batch. He's got that sort of real classic Episode 3 sort of clone trooper face going on, but it's got, you know, some interesting differences to it. We're getting just a little bit of a sort of a stormtrooper vibe from this, which I think is really quite fun. And he's got the most sort of red, grey, white paint jobs. So on the back, we've got a little bit of red coming up to that sort of crest of black. Oh, it's dark grey. Red coming through to the face. We've got a black visor, black and white grille, silver sort of breather details here, red tube stripes, and this kind of sort of frosted, almost white, light grey over the left side of the helmet there. And I gotta say, like, if I look really close up, probably can't get the camera to focus on it, it's tiny little dots around the edges where it's kind of feathering out. So I can tell that this is like printed on, but it's really tidily done. It's all neatly fitting around. I really quite like that. And trying to catch it under the light. I know I'm trying to show really close, fine detail. Sometimes the camera struggles. There is like really tiny little hash marks. So we can see the scoring in the sculpt underneath. There's like a slash across the nose. We've got a little bit here on the top, which is always really fun. Gives it that extra battle damaged look. So really happy with that helmet. It's got perhaps a bit of a pinched in effect because this is rubber and it's been in its box for a while, but putting it on the actual figure tends to kind of squash it out to a bit more of a correct shape. So I'm a little bit nervous about how well this is going to fit over him, because he has possibly the most hair out of the Bad Batch, I think. In terms of the sculpt, it's definitely longer at the back. I'm a little bit nervous how this is all going to go on. So let's have a look-see. I also just don't like pulling these on and off, because especially because he's got all this face paint. I really don't want to damage that face paint. So let's see. Come on. Oh, okay. Snapped on. But that went on pretty well, I think. If I just get him to sit down so I can get him a little bit closer, so we can take a look at the way that that helmet sits on. I've had trouble with some of the others with the chin sort of still showing. This one, once that clicked on all the way, it's on all the way. And even looking under here, it's like almost impossible to see the actual head underneath. So a really nice tidy fit. And I think proportionally, That's not too bobblehead either. I think that's a pretty good proportion for the whole figure. Definitely looking very Hunter-esque, isn't it? And once it's on, it feels really rigid. Like I can't squeeze it anymore. It feels like a solid plastic. I know some people perhaps prefer having like just two separate heads, one as a helmet on, one as a helmet off, and you simply pop it off and change it, because I know sometimes you either end up with a slightly bigger helmet or the head is too small, trying to find a fine balance. But I think that's a really good sort of proportion there for the figure. It's not giving me weird vibes. I think that looks cool. Okay, so let's check out some of his weapons. I'm going to try putting his knife in his hand. So on the box, we have it posed in his right hand. Just going to see how easily this is going to fit in here. Okay. Don't know which way he wants to sort of hold it. It goes in his hands really easily. And we've even got this really fine little sort of yellow detail painted on the knife to kind of give it that sort of tick electricity. It isn't just a flat knife. Very cool. He holds that really well. So we can do some cool poses with that. But I want to see how well it's going to fit into this little sheath here. So I'm not entirely sure which way around. I'm going to face it towards the back. Easy. That slides in really well. Pink. And it just grips in there. There isn't like a snap or anything like that, but I feel like the end of that hilt fits in there really nicely. I know this is all going to be a little bit oversized than it is in the show because this is a toy. Some things just don't scale down quite as easily. But I think for the sake of including that iconic detail and weapon, that's not too bad. Okay, so he doesn't come with a holster for his Clone Trooper pistol. It's not going to clip on because they don't have belts. And so he doesn't got a holster for this one. So I'm just going to try posing it in, let's say his left hand here. And then I'll try putting the other one in his right. So this finger is a bit more of a classic grip. We don't have a trigger finger pointing. This one, we've got that little bit of separation for that top finger. It's really subtle on him. We do have a little bit of a gap so that he can hold a trigger. So I'm just going to put this one in this hand. Let's see. Of course, the posability of his wrists is going to make him spin around a little bit. So because he doesn't have a pointer finger on this hand, it's kind of just a little bit awkward. He's just kind of holding it around the grip. It doesn't look quite as good, does it? Okay, let's see how well you're going to hold it in this hand. Okay, getting in there. And can we get your little finger in there? Okay, there. Okay, so black on black is a little bit hard to see, but that definitely looks a lot better with that finger in the trigger of the blaster pistol there. Looks really good. But this is one of the accessories. I don't have a spot to put it. I can't even sort of stick it in here for the meanwhile that this doesn't open in any way, so I can't just like stash it in his backpack there. So I'm gonna have to store that carefully so I don't lose it, because I really want to put the bigger gun in his hand. Okay, so let's have a look, see how well this is going to go into his hands. Okay. Oh, that went in not too hard. Okay, cool. Let's get you sort of posed a little bit here. There we go. I know this is a two-handed gun. It's possibly going to take a little bit of work because it's really cool if you can get their other hand to kind of grip it underneath there. It's going to take a little bit of work, I'll definitely try, but for now, I'll just kind of pose him like that, I think. But yes, looks very cool. He's got a lot of weapons, and it's kind of fun that he can hold all of them. Maybe I'll try putting his knife in this hand, just for a final pose. Even though the box has it, they're sort of the other way around. So we've got his knife and his big Republic Commando blaster there. Really cool. So excited to finally get him out of his box and see all of these details and things like that. He is definitely, because he's kind of the leader of Clone Force 99, he is such a central character in the show. You can't build Bad Batch without him. And he's got some really distinctive gear and details. His bandana and his knife and everything like that. It's a little bit of looseness in his legs. That's meaning that I'm just like not really wanting to like let go of him because I feel like he's going to tip over there. And then I've still got that one tiny little gun that doesn't have anywhere to go. But overall, I think he's really cool. I really like the way that he looks with his helmet on. Because of course he didn't have his helmet on in the packaging. So now I can finally see how he looks all together. Yes, I've finally got another one for my Bad Batch lineup. Still got a couple more of Clone Force 99 to unbox to get them all together. And then I'll have to take some cool photos of them all lined up because he looks cool. I'm not the best at posing, and I've got to spend a little bit more time to get just the right sort of posing to take some cool photos to show some of the details close up. But there you go. That is the original Clone Force 99 Black Series 6-inch figure of Hunter from the Bad Batch. I think he looks really cool. I've always liked Republic Commando armor and characters. My husband has the original Republic Commando game version of Boss 1138. So I am a big fan of the Republic Commando armor. It certainly has a soft spot in this house. So this is really cool. I like it. Very exciting to finally have this one open and see all those details in person. All those little painted Clone Force 99 details, that paint app on his helmet, even that tiny little yellow detailing on his vibro knife. Really cool. So there you have it. If you want to check out some of my other Bad Batch Black Series unboxings, do subscribe and check out our other videos. Catch you on the next one. And as always, may the Force be with you.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.